good that you touched on BRICS because South Africa will be hosting the BRICS summit, and the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, pointed out that he's going to invite other leaders from the continent. How critical is the rebirth, the renaissance of Africa, but strengthening it through the African Continental Free Trade Area?
I think the critical aspect is that business must be part of the table in power, because when you are sitting on the table, you are able to express how we want to do business with the continent, with our counterpart of business partners in all over the continent. But the critical aspect of the free trade is that it gives us an opportunity in South Africa, because by the way, we are a gateway to Africa. So we must take advantage of that, and we must be able to then be the champions of this initiative, because beyond everything else, the support of the South African government and everybody else, including opposition parties in South Africa, everybody is behind this aspect of saying Africa is not a jungle, we must continue to do business in the continent.
The taxi driver yesterday, he spoke passionately about South Africa. He doesn't even know South Africa, but he sees South Africa as this Switzerland on the continent, and the love Africans have for South Africa. We visited the house of the former activist here, and but what I want you to tell us is, what is your message to business on the continent at a time where we are facing critical challenges? What is it that we can do as the continent for ourselves, not relying on the West? Because look now, the challenges that we are facing with the war in Ukraine. What must we do as Africans?
In South Africa, we've got funds like your PIC, like your DBSA, like your IDC, like your NEF. They need to enable entrepreneurs to be able to actually be the actual ones who are investing, because if you look in our country, the economy it's got color, but when you get out of the borders of South Africa, they are waiting for us to bring such investment, because there's so much that South Africa has to offer. So we're going to mobilize business in South Africa to make sure that we take advantage of this free trade, because the moment we are out of South Africa, people start receiving us. They are speaking good about us because they know that they've always been longing to interface with South African business. But South African business was not coming out of business because of how we do business in our country. There are limitations in terms of capital. But now if we open those channels in those DFIs, development finance institutions, we are going to make sure that we stimulate these economies and do business.
Well, I saw a guy from South Africa who's working for Anglo Ashanti. They just closed their operations in South Africa, but they are doing business here. Your message to business on the continent: you guys must play a prominent role in the rebirth of this giant Africa.
What is happening is that most of the minerals that are talking to the fourth industrial revolutions are here. And you talk about your lithium, you talk about your phosphate, you talk about your iron ore. This is what we need to take advantage of, because we have access to the skills, access to the engineers. But what we are going to do as young people from South Africa, we're going to mobilize and establish business forums so that we interface with other entrepreneurs in the continent and take advantage of this opportunity.
Thank you for your time. I know I just grabbed you while you were making your way inside. Thank you so much, sir. You can hear a South African. I met so many South Africans here. One thing that I've experienced traveling on the continent, South Africans are everywhere, and they are working very, very hard. Some countries do rely on South Africa's expertise for the development of their country, be it the Great Lakes region, whether the North. And I think the lecture today will speak to that.